Today we're hopping into Carlsbad. It's one of the bigger cities right here in North County, San Diego. We're gonna get into each different zip code and kind of dive into what they're all about. What it'd be like living there, what's the housing like, what's the price points, the amenities, kind of everything you need to know so that as you're thinking about moving out here and you're thinking about Carlsbad, you'll be able to narrow down like, do I want walkability? Do I want kind of more of that suburban, right around town center kind of thing, like super convenient? Do I want beach? We're gonna get into all that so that you can figure out where is the best place for you to live in Carlsbad. So let's get into it right now.
So we do a lot of these videos out and about, boots on the ground. It's been raining the last couple of weeks, so we haven't had the opportunity. So how this is going to work is we're going to work our way from kind of the northwest section of Carlsbad and go clockwise through the zip codes, kind of giving you everything and anything you need to know about Carlsbad. And we're going to start in 92008. It's a big area. It goes all the way from Oceanside all the way down to Palomar Airport Road. So it has a lot of the touristy parts of Carlsbad kind of encompassed in that. On the southern end of 92008 is where you find Legoland. So that is a big reason that people come to Carlsbad specifically to go to Legoland.
Or go every day.
Yeah, or
not
if you
every
have
day.
passes.
We have passes. Like we live here, we got passes, and we could just go hop in for a few hours, bring a few of the little figurines. Our guys will bring a little bit, two of the guys, and go make some trades. You could trade little Lego guys at the place, but literally you could just go in, do a lap, come out. It could be like an hour. It's pretty awesome.
And then also the other big draw of 92008 and Carlsbad as a whole is the village. There's great restaurants, shops, bars. It is definitely the destination in Carlsbad.
And within that village area, the village corridor, you're going to find a lot of new construction going on or revitalized projects. Maybe it was like old houses, like this old little cottage that I think it's a brewery they bought out, and they're going to build that out as like a little brewery and a restaurant. You'll find those. You'll find big condo complexes, big condo projects, not huge, like maybe anywhere between like 10 to 20 condos within these projects. But this is some of the most walkable area within all of North County, San Diego, where you do have the Carlsbad Village, you have State Street, and then you have a bunch of the restaurants and shops and all kinds of things to do right down there. So if you did want walkability, this is going to be your spot, because the rest of the areas that we're going to talk about aren't very walkable. Like this is going to be your go-to. Also, right to the west is going to be the ocean. So there's a great stretch of beach right there. You have Tamarack, and then just going down where there used to be a power plant right there. It's kind of accessible. There's not much parking. You got Tamarack a lot. And then as you're going further south, you got Terramar, but there's just really cool beaches right there too. The north part is probably the easiest access, where you could park maybe in some of these neighborhoods, cruise across. You have an upper pathway, you have a lower boardwalk, and then a nice wide open beach. And it doesn't ever usually seem to be too busy up there.
And as for housing, this section of Carlsbad is kind of the most unique and the most diverse in different types of housing. It's not the straight suburbs like a lot of the other zip codes that we're going to chat about. You've got a handful of oceanfront homes, which you don't have in other zip codes of Carlsbad. So this is, if you're looking for oceanfront specifically, this is going to be your spot. And then also as you go east from the village, Highland Drive is the main street that we kind of work off of, but it is just old Carlsbad. So it's a lot of older homes. It's a lot of kind of old beach bungalows, or they've been torn down and built huge homes on the lots. And then as you kind of head south, it becomes a little bit more suburban when you get down to like off Kelly Drive.
One thing about this neighborhood too, like old Carlsbad, you'll find like some of these smaller old bungalow style houses, but they're big lots. It's pretty neat if you do want a little bit more space, and maybe you do want a project, and maybe you just want to buy one of these and kind of fix it up and live that kind of beach style life. This would be a good little spot to check out. So now we're back in the studio. We're going to hop into the map and show you all the areas that we just talked about. And we'll do this for each different zip code that we do cover here. So let's get into 92008. Carlsbad as a whole, it's a big chunk of land here. But the first area that we talked about was 92008. So Carlsbad's, cut into the 4 zip codes that we're going to talk about. This is El Camino Real going down all the way through into Encinitas. That's basically going to separate all the zip codes from east to west. And then north to south is going to be Palomar Airport Road right here. So 92008 right here, down to the very southern portion where we started talking about Legoland. It's right here. So if you've been to Carlsbad, maybe you brought the kids out, maybe you're checking stuff out, you probably maybe have been to Legoland, but it's a great spot if you're living here to get the pass. It's like we have one, we go, I don't go too much, but my wife and kids go, you know, every few weeks, maybe once a month, something like that. And it's just cool. Go for like an hour. You can cruise around. We've also done staycations here for like birthdays and stuff for our kids. So you get one of these hotels right here, wake up. It's super fun. You get in like half hour early, so you could run in, cruise around, and get to some of the rides early, but super nice, super easy. You got the flower fields here, so it's a big attraction as well. If you have seen it at any time during like the spring, this is when it really lights up and it's looking like pretty nice. So that is right there. And then just to the west, which was something we didn't bring up, is Windmill Food Hall right here. Bunch of restaurants inside that place, which is pretty nice. And then basically going up, none of the housing is down here. There's just a little bit in Terramar, but it's not like a huge neighborhood right there. Carlsbad Village is the other spot that we checked out here. And it's just like, this is like the main drag. So if you've been to Carlsbad, maybe you've been on this street underneath the sign, you go up, check out the Carlsbad Village. There's a big shopping center in here. Not shopping center, it's like restaurants, and you know, there's like a California store in there selling like, you know, California swag and whatnot. And then you have State Street, which is the other one. This is where they have the farmers market every week. So basically every city is going to have a farmers market, and this is where Carlsbad is. But this is also where there's a bunch more restaurants and stuff. Vigilucci's, old time favorite. They're building a bunch of new spots as well down here. So as you're hanging out down there, maybe hit up. You can see this place is pretty popping. Handles ice cream, but there's just a bunch of new spots. One of our favorite go-tos. Maybe we'll go there for a meeting if you guys want. But oh, get out of here. Behind this truck, Pure Project. Really good beer right here in Carlsbad. The train station's right there. So anyways, that's this downtown area. And then zooming out right across the freeway. So here is a bigger picture of Carlsbad Village, Legoland. Kind of this section in here is going to be, let's move to the middle a little bit. This section in here is going to be Old Carlsbad. So Highland Drive right here. That's where you find a lot of custom homes. Just to the north up here, it gets a little bit smaller as far as footprints of houses go. That's where you find a lot of the bungalows, but it's a really cool neighborhood, really cool area. As you get south, there's just a little bit more, not necessarily kind of those beach bungalows, but like off Kelly Drive and this whole area right in here, you find some split level homes and then a few other little hidden neighborhoods down the south. But Old Carlsbad's like the main jam in there. And for most of this area too, you might come across, you know, under 1.5 every now and again, but I would say 1.5 is kind of the starting point for the single family homes. There are some condo options and that kind of stuff as well in different little sections of this area. But for detached homes, 1.5 I would say is a good starting place for 92008. And out of all the zip codes that we're going through today, this is probably the one that the least amount of clients reach out to us about, because it's just a lot of people that are reaching out want the suburbs, which are all three of the other places. And also you also have more options in the other places, just more housing. It's kind of all similar. It's a lot of track houses, which we'll get into. But if you are thinking about moving out here and you got questions and you want to pick our brains, that's what we're here for. You can call, text, email. We are a real estate team right here in San Diego, and we got your back when making the move here. We'll book a call, hop on a Zoom call, get all your questions answered, and help you dial in. Maybe it's Carlsbad, maybe it's even somewhere else. So hit us up. We got your back.
Next up, we got 92010, which is just east of 92008. And this is this is just housing. The zip code doesn't have much else other than a lot of homes. It's track neighborhoods, either from the 70s and 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s, and even some newer neighborhoods in the last 10 to 15 years as well. But there is a lot of diversity within that. There are a lot of smaller homes, there's condos, there's big houses. There's a lot of options if you're looking in the zip code.
There is a little shopping center just south of the 78 freeway. You do have the mall up there, but other than that, track neighborhoods for sure. You do have also Calavera Hills is the main neighborhood up there. And then you have the Calavera Preserve, which has a bunch of hiking trails. So from as you get further east in Calavera Hills, that's where you get access to all the trails. So a lot of the area, you can actually like go out your front door and walk to a lot of these trails and cruise up. It's not like a crazy long hike, but it's beautiful. You get a nice vantage point from the top of the hill there, overlooking a lot of North County, San Diego. So, and it's fun. I mean, just an outdoor space to have too. You got miles and miles of trails out there. And then one other neighborhood right in the zip code, it's actually a newer neighborhood on the big scheme of things. It's called Robertson Ranch. You got, I don't know how many homes, a few hundred?
I don't know.
1,000? No, not 1,000. But it's not a huge development, but it's a master plan community right there, just north of El Camino Real, so just in 92010. But if you want like newer home, a little bit bigger footprint, the yards aren't too huge up there, but the houses are actually, like, when they built them, they're actually cool designs, they're clean, they're nice. So if that's what you're looking for, Robinson Ranch might be your go-to as well. And then right across the street, they're building out. It's actually going to be in, I believe, 92008 zip code, which we just covered. But there's another new community. I think Lennar's building it out, and it's like a bunch of townhomes. So it's going to be a little bit more affordable than some of the other areas, plus brand new. So if you want new construction, you got that. And then some other semi-new construction is the Preserve, which is, I don't know when it was built, like 2017, 18,
Yep.
somewhere in there. And it's kind of funny because you have to go through Oceanside to get to this area of Carlsbad, but it's also some new-ish construction. We're starting to see a little bit more new turnaround in there where people had bought a few years back when it was brand new, and now you're seeing them sold. But there's a little trail that if you have kids, you can walk up to the school up there. So that's another one of the neighborhoods in this little section of Carlsbad. Now going clockwise, 92010. Right here is the big preserve that we mentioned, and you can see the giant lake right here, Calavera Lake. Now where you're coming from, maybe you're like lakes, boating, fishing, hanging out, go for a swim. That's not this one. This is literally just like a little tiny, let's call it a pond, Calavera Pond, even though it says Calavera Lake. But nonetheless, this is where you're going to find all that hiking that I mentioned. So get up to the peak right here, but you can see all these just trails shooting out here and a bunch of trailheads from all these little neighborhoods. So depending on where you're living here, just cruise along, hop in here. Beautiful trails. We've done some videos out here and it's fun. Cruise to the top, beautiful views, looking back to the north, down out to the coast. You can look back up towards Oceanside, you look down south to other parts of Carlsbad, but that's a big attraction right here. So if you want to have some of that outdoor, some trails right out your backyard, this could be a good spot. Calavera Hills here. As far as the infrastructure, like we said, let me bring back up the satellite. It's just housing, more housing, more housing, more housing. There's some housing down here. Here's Robertson Ranch, the other neighborhood I'll hop into real quick. But the shopping is going to be a little bit to the north. So the shops at Carlsbad, it's actually an old mall. So it's called the Shops, but when you drive up, you're going to see it's a big mall. You got the movie theater in there. And then the other shopping center is right over here where you do have the Sprouts and a few other little stores and stuff, but nothing too much going on in this little section. It's mostly residential. That's what you'll find here. But quick access to the 78 freeway. So 78, if you're going east, most likely going west and then shoot down towards San Diego, depending on where you're working, who knows. But that is right there as well. And Calavera Hills takes up a big portion of this neighborhood. Here's that Robertson Ranch area right here. You can see it's not a huge area, but you're gonna find some nice bigger homes. Hop in this corner. We did a video when we were covering this area about another Carlsbad video, but you got these little pocket parks throughout. I think there's like 5 or 6 little pocket parks. This is one of the cooler ones that I saw in there actually. Nice big playground, but they did incorporate a few little parks in here. Bigger homes, you can see. And then let me jump back up to kind of this satellite view. Not huge yards. I mean, these ones over on this side, decent size. As you get a little bit further in, some of them are pretty tight. These guys, a little bit tighter. Right here, just a little kind of patio-ish backyard. So anyways, Robertson Ranch, new-ish neighborhood. And here's where they are building that brand new neighborhood right here. It's actually somewhat built out. It's not just totally graded like this now. Let's see if we go to Street View if they've driven by recently. Nope, it was just the old pottery place right here. And these are going to be townhomes. I think I said Lennar is building them. Actually, KB is building these ones. They're actually putting a decent chunk of houses in here. And it's not just like 5 or 6. There's, a lot of houses in this little parcel of land. And for price points in this Calavera Hills neighborhood, let's just say 92010 as a whole, you can't get in here for $1 million. So it'd be a little bit more competitive because we're seeing the more affordable neighborhoods getting a little bit more competitive right now. Like that listing I mentioned that one of our teammates had, it was on the market for about 115. It went for about $100,000 over list price, about 12 offers. So there was definitely some competition in there. But as far as comparing the coastal neighborhood to that, you can get in for $1 million. But expect a little bit more, probably 1.112. But there are some that pop up at $1 million.
Next up, just south of 92010, we've got 92009. It is by far the most complicated zip code that we have here in North County, but it does have a ton to offer. It is where a lot of housing is located, but also a ton of amenities. So it is probably maybe the most convenient zip code that we have in Carlsbad, but there are a ton of neighborhoods. So if we start listing off some of them from top to bottom, we've got Rancho Carrillo, which is a really cool neighborhood. We've got Bressi Ranch, which is maybe the most walkable community in San Diego and North County, maybe?
I lied, yeah. Bressi Ranch is also just as walkable as that kind of downtown Carlsbad or the village area of Carlsbad.
With more housing.
With more housing, yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got, as you move south, you've got a ton of La Costas. So we've got Old La Costa, we've got La Costa Valley, we've got La Costa Oaks, La Costa Greens. There are a ton of different La Costas. So if you've got one in mind, pick our brains and we can kind of tell you what they're all about.
And some of the amenities of this neighborhood, you have La Costa Town Square, which is kind of surrounded by the La Costa Oaks and then like the older La Costa neighborhoods. But it is kind of a newer shopping center where you got a lot of the big box stuff. You got like a movie theater, which is pretty cool, Sinopolis, Starbucks in there, some other chain restaurants. You do have, is it a Ralph's in there? Vaughn's. It's one of those. Yeah. a shopping spot in there. And then as you go further towards the coast, the Forum is like a bigger, we think it's right on the border of 92011 and 92008, but it is a kind of higher end shopping center right there. And then El Camino Real, as you get to that area, you're actually in Encinitas. But up and down that corridor is where you find all the big box stores. So if you're living in this area of La Costa or this area of Carlsbad, you're going to access this pretty easily within, 10 minutes or so, where you do have Targets and Home Depots and Kohl's and just kind of everything you need. Everything and everything, whatever it is that you need right there. So convenience-wise, it's pretty good. Also, something we haven't mentioned yet is the park system in Carlsbad. Agua Norte Park is in this zip code, and it's one of the bigger parks in Carlsbad. Awesome park, a bunch of ball fields. You have a whole swim facility. You have a great playground for the kids. There's a really awesome skate park there too. And it's right in the center there. But this is one of many, well, there's kind of like 5 main parks. You also have Stagecoach Park, which is another bigger park in this little neighborhood as well. So access to parks, pretty easy. There's also some smaller pocket parks you're going to find here and there, but parks are pretty big in Carlsbad and they take really good care of them.
Part of the reason that the zip code ends up being complicated as well as schools. So the first 2 areas that we talked about all feed into Carlsbad schools. Super easy, super simple. As you get into 92009, you can either feed into Carlsbad schools, you can feed into San Marcos School District, or you can feed into Encinitas and San Diego School District. So when you're looking in this area where you have specific schools or districts that you're aiming for, you definitely want to keep that in mind. Kind of the southern section of Carlsbad is going to feed into the Encinitas and San Diego, and then kind of the eastern portion is going to feed into San Marcos, with the rest feeding into Carlsbad.
And then as he was talking, I was just thinking of more amenities. There's also Omni La Costa Resort. So you go there, just have some dinner. What's the place? Bob's? Is that
Bob's,
you go to?
Steak and Chop, yeah.
Steak and Chop. They have Santa there during the holidays. They have 2 golf courses. One is shut down right now, but that's right there. You can do a little staycation if you want. There's also the Beacon, which is a newer shopping center as well. Some really cool restaurants in there. My wife just went to Lola 55, which is a little taco spot in there. They have some good margaritas in there. There's Pitfire, which is a pizza spot. Lofty Coffee, which is a local chain. La Costa Wine Company. There is the Wise Ox, which is a butcher shop. All that is right there as well. Across the street, you have a Gelson's. And when we hop into the map, I'll show you kind of the price points of this area. But one of the more affordable little sections of this area is Meadow Ridge, which is a townhome community. So it's one of the more affordable. You're right on the border of San Marcos, right into Carlsbad. But if you want a little bit more affordable, you're kind of looking more affordable price points, but you want to live in Carlsbad, then that's a good spot to check out. All right, now we're in 92009, and I'm kind of stoked. We've done other videos in the past, and I put in 92009, and it didn't outline it for some reason. and we've done it for years. Now it's outlined, so you guys can have a better picture of what's going on here. 92009. This is probably the area that the most people reach out, or let's say not reach out, but when we're chatting with them, we're kind of describing areas. We kind of focus on this, like, you might like La Costa. Go check out La Costa. They drive through, they end up digging it. There's a bunch of different La Costa neighborhoods, La Costa Oaks North, this is South. You have Old La Costa, you have Rancho Ponderosa. You have the Omni La Costa right here, which is the resort that we mentioned right in the center. And this is kind of the delineation of the school zones. So like to the south is going to be Encinitas, to the west, or to the east rather, is going to be San Marcos, and to the north is going to be Carlsbad school districts. It's not exact. Don't quote me on that one, but we could dial you in if you're like want a specific school for your kids. Some people want to feed to Encinitas schools. Some people do their research and they want to, go to like Sage Creek in Carlsbad. We've had clients reach out and specifically want that school. So looking for homes in those neighborhoods. But Omni La Costa, once again, another staycation spot. I guess there's a lot of staycation spots in Carlsbad where if you're living here, go cruise there for a night, enjoy. But that was all the La Costas. Here up to the north is going to be Rancho Carrillo. So this whole section up here, you got it up here. There's just a bunch of homes in here. And Rancho Carrillo, it's like a community. It's a master plan community. You have access to the, you go to Leo Carrillo Park right here, which it's open to the public. But there's also the little HOA center right here. So the pool community center, let's call it that. You got the community center right here. You got the pool, you got a little hangout area. There's some trails cruising through here. Once again, it's not like a trail destination, but you can see a few little trails. Get out there, stretch your legs, a lot of housing. Once again, in this section, there's nothing right in this neighborhood, but if you go right to the east, this is Bresci Ranch right here. And it's one of the more unique neighborhoods. It is walkable. The aesthetics are a little different. When they built it out, they added town center down to the south, and then recently built up this town center to the north. So you really don't have to leave. I mean, there's anything and everything you want. You got your Board and Brew, great little sandwich spot. You have Trader Joe's. You have Corner Pizza. I didn't know Corner Pizza, that must be new. They weren't in there last time I was in there. Bird Rock Coffee, right to the corner here. Really strong coffee. But yeah, some cool restaurants to check out, some local stuff as well. There's some parks throughout Bresci Ranch. Okay, I see Board and Brew, but let me hop to this little section too, because right over in this little neck of the woods, there we go. Pizza Port. You got to go to Pizza Port if you're exploring. Good pizza. It's not that okay. So I say good pizza. I like this pizza, the style pizza. A lot of cheese, that kind of thing. But it is not that New York style pizza. It's going to be Carlsbad style pizza. So, but really good beers in there too. A few video games. Bring the kids in there. Let them run around. But cool little spot. Bresci Ranch. Once again, a little unique neighborhood, and then a bunch of kind of like older La Costa in here. There's just this is some of the most amounts of homes to choose from. La Costa Town Square is right here, and once again, nothing like too local. Down the middle here, you got your Starbucks, you got your Sinopolis. This is the Bonds. I couldn't think of the name. And then just to the south is one of the main parks. There's Stagecoach Park. The other park we mentioned is up by Bresci Ranch, Alga Norte Park, Leo Carrillo. Go find the white peacock up there. It's not really it's a park, but it's not like they don't have playgrounds and stuff. It's more like cruise around, check out some history, that kind of thing. And then the other centers, I'll just show you all the centers because there was a lot that we covered in here. The other one was right over here. This is the Beacon La Costa. Lola 55, that was the one that my wife recently went to. Pitfire, there's Lofty Coffee. And if you reach out to us, we might have a meeting here. We've met a bunch of clients out here just because it's a central spot, especially if you're looking at Carlsbad, Encinitas, San Marcos, Oceanside, and like, hey, let's meet at Lofty Coffee and jump off from there. And then just to the north, that's where you have like the Gelsons and that kind of stuff. So there's a little breakfast spot over here too. The other main drag, last main drag, this is it, I promise. Then we'll hop into, you got the Forum right here, kind of a higher end mall-ish, if you will. And then Encinitas, but El Camino Real is right here, and the huge shopping center right here. So if you're living in, especially in this southern portion in La Costa, you could hit all this, the Beacon, the Forum, all the shopping centers right here pretty easily. And in the 92009 zip code, starting price points, you're probably looking about 1.3. Might be able to get some stuff in that Rancho Carrillo neighborhood. Presi Ranch is going to be a bit more than that. And then a lot of the La Costa neighborhoods are going to be a bit more. Rancho Ponderosa might be a little bit more affordable. There was just a home in there, and it was a little bit higher on the square footage, about 2,300 square foot for 1.6. So if you take some of the smaller footprints in there, some of the smaller square foot homes, you're looking about 1.4-ish.
Last up is 92011, which the majority of this zip code is Aviara, which is a huge master plan community, one of the biggest in San Diego. And it all is around the golf course, which is an amazing golf course. There's not a ton of amenities. You got a shopping center right at the corner of Aviara Parkway in El Camino Real, which has a movie theater, has a handful of restaurants. Notorious is one of our favorites in there. But there's a lot of different amenities in there. And then also on the west side, you have a shopping center that has your grocery store, Ralph's. You've got some other shops. Pelly's Fish Market is one of our go-tos over there. But this zip code is a little bit more sleepy than the other ones. There's not as much going on. It is a coastal zip code, but there is no housing on the coast. There are some communities kind of right on the coast highway, but it's bluff all up and down there, and there is a campground that takes up most of that.
At that campground too, they have a new little kind of restaurant, I guess. It's outdoor. It's got picnic tables. They got pizza there. They have a little spot where you can go in, order some beer, order some wine, and then live music towards the weekends and stuff. It's called Carlsbad Camp Store, I think. But we've been there. It's awesome. You're right on the bluffs, and it's really fun. Kids cruising in there, dancing, having a good time. So that is right at the camp. If you don't want to go camping, but you want to go experience kind of little oceanfront restaurants, like the only place that's right on the ocean in Carlsbad, that's a good spot to check out. And then one of the best beaches as far as accessibility is South Ponto, right to the south. And it's right on the border of Encinitas, but a nice big parking lot. If you're moving here, I always recommend getting the parking pass. It's like $200 and it gets you into this parking lot, a few of the Cardiff parking lots, instead of paying $10 a day, and a few others actually throughout California. You have to go online and check out which one. So if you're actually traveling and doing road trips, you could use this as well. But it's a great value. Park right there. There's bathrooms for the kids. There's, if you want to go up, there's these big stairs to cruise up to the resort, Alila Marea up there. And you can go, actually, there's a little coffee shop up there. You go grab coffee, but nice big open beach as well.
So outside of Aviara, there is some housing kind of to the northwest of that area where you've got Poinsettia Park, and you've got a bunch of different types of housing in there. You've got larger homes. You've got a ton of townhomes. This is a section of Carlsbad. Chris mentioned Meadow Ridge in the other zip code, but this is a section of Carlsbad where there's a ton of townhome options. So if you're looking for kind of that more affordable price point, there are a lot of options in here. You have to be cognizant of the 5 freeway and road noise in some of these communities, but there are a ton of options for townhomes and condos in here.
And then also there's a lagoon right to the south where you have Bataquitos Lagoon. So they got some walking trails in there in this little section. I think it's dog friendly as well. So if you got dogs, you could bring them in there. And it's just a nice, beautiful, kind of walk, kind of hike, if you will, along the lagoon. And then the main section of 92011 is Aviara right here. Kind of a resort feeling neighborhood. You're cruising through. It's different style, different feel than all the other neighborhoods, right? That we just mentioned. It's really beautiful. You do have the Aviara golf course right in the center here. Down to the south, this is the Bataquitos Lagoon that I mentioned. I don't know why I said it, Bataquitos Lagoon right to the south. So it's not like a huge trail, but once again, it's beautiful down there. So you got to go check it out. And then all this is going to be Aviara. One more park. Got to mention all the parks. Poinsettia Park. If you like pickleball, this is it, man. This is the spot. They just converted a lot of these courts to pickleball, or here's pickleball. But I want to say, so we play softball right over here on Thursday nights, and it's a happening park. They got soccer going on over here. There's basketball. And so there's these pickleball courts, but I want to say they converted some of these into pickleball courts too. So I think pickleball is a little bit more popular right now than tennis, but I don't know. Go check it out. If you guys like pickleball, you can live in any of these areas and shoot there pretty quick. Here's the ball field we play on right here. So, or this one of those two. Anyways, this is 92010, and you're right on the border of the Legolands, the flower fields, the Windmill Food Hall right there. You do have the Costco right here to the north. The shopping center, it's going to be a little bit more coastal right here. This is where Cassie mentioned Pelly's right there. So your little fish market. But that's kind of like one of the main shopping centers. The other kind of main one, I guess, is a little bit farther to the east, where you have Black Rail Kitchen. You do have another Sinopolis right here. You do have Beach Plum with a little breakfast spot. So, you got all that right there. You'll be fine. You're not going to be too far from too much. Aviara Community Park. So that's to wrap up all the parks. That's like the 5th park right there. And then one other spot we didn't mention in the video, but it's some kids who went to La Costa High School, started this beer company. And if you like beer, well, San Diego's a good spot for you too. But Virgin right here, right off Yarrow. Fantastic beer, cool company, cool people. Go in there, grab a taste. Look at that, 4.7 out of 310 reviews. But they have some events there and stuff too. But go for the beer, go enjoy that. And it'll be a good dropping off spot too for kind of put you in a lot of these southern neighborhoods here. So that is 92011. And then in the Aviara zip code, you're going to be looking about 1.5-ish, maybe 1.4. There's some little neighborhoods that there's some neighborhoods like right along the freeway that are a little maybe in the 1.3s, but for the most part, like 1.5 on up is where you're going to be starting in Aviara. And these are all prices for single family homes. Obviously, townhomes are going to be much more affordable. So if that's what you're looking for, be sure to reach out and we'll get you dialed in there.
So if Carlsbad seems like a spot that you'd want to move, or if there's any other spots in San Diego that you want to chat about, definitely get in touch with us, call, text, email, and we can set up a time for a Zoom call to go through and answer any of the questions you might have when moving to San Diego.